Alright, Shalom. First and foremost of all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kwadash. Davar the apostles and other bishops, the great millstone teaching us from understand truth according to the Bible and rule well, and peace and blessings so afflicted the nation of Israel. Take their spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai, willing into a Lord's willing edifying lesson. Right, today's lesson, we're going to be hopping into Hebrews, the 10th chapter, and we're going to start here at the 35th verse. This is one of my favorite segments here to read. This is Hebrews 10 and 35. It says, "Cast not away, therefore, your confidence." Right, and our confidence, this word confidence is a compound word, with, con meaning with, and fident going to the word fidelity, right, which goes into faith, right? That's why to be, effeminate, right, e meaning minus, fident, right, minus faith, right? So we can't be, emotional, when we're going through, our trials and tribulations. We must remain confident, right? There's this quote, Michael Jordan, which I don't know if it's actually him who made the quote or if it's AI generated. I'm pretty sure it's him. He did like a speech. I don't really keep up with him as much, but he did a speech and he said, I have something better than courage. He said, I have patience. Right, and we're gonna need patience, right? Of course, we have courage, right? Job, here in Joshua, right? The Lord commands us to be, very courageous, right? Actually, when I read Joshua 1 and verse 5. It says, "There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life," right? And to understand that, right, gives us a lot of confidence, gives us a lot of courage, and as we, go through our day-to-day, trials and tribulations, as I was reading the book of Job, and the first few chapters, how he lost everything, the Arabians came and ran upon the sheep, and he lost his camels and the herds, and his children, his sons and his daughters were having a feast at the elder's house, and the four pillars broke upon them, right? And Satan, right, was was given power to basically Job was in Satan's hands to do with him as he willed, right? And we're all going through trials and tribulations, we're all going through things, but at the very same time, right, there's limits on what the spiritual demon Satan is allowed to do, right? And in Job, right, he says, that which I feared, came upon me, right? What's that, Job? Is it Job, the 3rd chapter? Or I think it's the end of the 2nd chapter. Job, Job 2, sorry, I'm all over the place, forgive me, the spirit's like the wind. I don't want to just quote these scriptures, I want to be able to bring them out. Job 3 and 25, "For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come upon me." Right, so we're going to go through things, or we're going to be put into very difficult situations, and when we're going through these situations, we can't cast away our confidence, right? And while we are showing forth our confidence, we're going to have to realize that we're going to need to suffer. Okay. I got to lock in here. I don't have too much time. This is Job 1 and 5. It says, "There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. Joshua 1:5. I said Job, Slakia. It says, there shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. And we have to apply that to us, right? When Satan came to tempt Job, the Heavenly Father said, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in all the earth? Right? There was none like, our forefather Moses, and there was none like Joshua, right? And the elect, as we're the hopeful members of Yahweh Shema Shai's elect, we have to put our names there as well, that there is none like us in all the earth, one that fears Yahweh Shema Shai and escheweth evil. Who's really eschewing the evil, right? Who's eschewing the path that leadeth to bad times and destruction? Only those who are calling upon the names of Yahweh Shema Shai in sincerity and truth. You see, it says, be strong and of good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for the inheritance the land which I swore unto their fathers to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whither thou goest, right? And the Lord is going to be with us, and so we can, prosper in the, we in the spirit. We got to be, making sure our spirits, are strong, making sure that, we have the understanding that, the things that we go through are not meant to destroy us. We were sold to the nations, not for our destruction, but because we moved the Most High to wrath, we were delivered onto the enemy. So it was never for our destruction. We're still the Heavenly Father's chosen people, right? And, with the sacrifice of Yahweh Shai, we've been given this period of grace, to fall and to get up, and to fall and to get up and to try again, right? The righteous man, a just man falls 7 times, but the wicked will fall into mischief, right? The wicked are going to fall into, mischief. They're gonna be offended. They're going to seek, worldly pleasure, instead of, and they're going to cast away their confidence, right? They're going to lose faith. They're going to think, okay, well, no, this isn't working. I don't want to trust the process. I don't want to call upon the name of Yahweh Shema Shai anymore, right? It says, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night. And we got to be meditating upon, these different accounts in the scriptures, and meditating upon the words, when we're in the midst of these, fiery trials. Therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and thou shalt have good success, right? And you keep reading there, right? I gotta jump pretty short on time, to be honest. But I wanted to do this lesson, and then my time all of a sudden got really short. The moment I was about to start the lesson. This is Hebrews chapter 10, and verse 35 says, cast not away therefore your confidence, right? And I'm not sure if I broke down the word confidence, con meaning with, and fident meaning faith. This second time me doing this lesson, right? Confidence, how should I say, so cast, it is, don't cast away your faith. So everything that, the just shall live by faith. When you're moving in this world, it has to be, with faith, knowing that the Most High is really in control. And we're not looking at the things which are seen, right, as the end all be all, because the Most High can cause miracles to happen. Just like as some strange thing can happen unto us to try our faith, the Most High can have miracles and things happen, to where things happen, in our favor for our good as well. And we're going to see more of those things. And we're already seeing those things, after we, suffered a little while. The Most High comes and intervenes, right? And steps in, right? And gives us, strength and aid, and comfort. All right, this is Hebrews 10:36. Right, I'm sorry. It says, "Cast not away therefore your confidence, which have great recompense of reward." So our faith is walking with faith is gonna lead, to a reward, right? The reward of the kingdom of heaven, the reward of us inheriting, the promised land. "For ye have need of patience." You see, so patience is very necessary. And like I said, Slakia, if I made mention of this already. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I made mention of the Michael Jordan quote. I cut the lesson because I couldn't find a precept that I mentioned, and then I just started the lesson again. So forgive me for that. It says, "For ye have need of patience, that after ye have done the will of Yahweh, ye might receive the promise." So after we do the will of Yahweh Shema Shai, which is us preaching the word, enduring unto the end, Yahweh Shai said, "He that endureth unto the end, the same shall be saved." And that should, you think about that. You have to endure unto the end, right? It doesn't matter how many years you've been through. You have to endure until when Yahweh Shai returns. Those are the ones who are going to be saved, right? So you have to have a good relationship with Yahweh Shema Shai now, during this time of grace. You can't waste your grace period. We've seen guys who, come in and waste their grace period and, be rebellious and, do this, that, and the third, and they're no longer here. So we have to take full advantage of this grace period. We have to go through our patience. We have to have patience, which is long suffering. We have to be willing to suffer long for the Lord. And you talk to different brothers, and brothers will tell you their testimonies and things brothers go through. Every brother is going through everyone's going through something. Everyone's going through a test, all right? Everyone's being tested, and everyone's test is just a little bit different. But we're all being tested, and through Yahweh Shai, we're able to overcome these tests and have works that are acceptable, to the Heavenly Father, right? This is what Yahweh Shai, this is what he's he's getting us through these things. He's giving us strength to overcome these things. It says, "For ye have need of patience." So patience is a necessity that we must have while we're applying faith in this walk of ours, that after ye have done the will of the Most High, ye might receive the promise. Not before, after you do the will, after you put in the work, right? And we're in the process of putting in that work now during this period of grace while this word has free reign, throughout the earth before the famine of the word. It says, "For yet a little while, and he that shall come will come and will not tarry." And we see we're at the end of this thing. We felt it, for years now, how close we were. And now, things are, speeding up, and we're at the point of no return. We don't go back to normal from here, right? And we believe these things through faith that, the time and is closer and nearer than what we even believe. Right? It says, "For yet a little while, and he that shall come will come and will not tarry." Right? "Now the just shall live by faith." Right? So now the just, right, the righteous of Yahweh Shema Shai, were commanded to live by faith. "But if any man draw back, my spirit shall have no pleasure in him." Right? And we want Yahweh Shema Shai to have pleasure in us. "Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in all the earth?" Really think about that. None like him in all the earth. Really think about that, right? So, brothers, we've made mention of this. If it's not us, then who is it? Yahweh Shai said it, right? If you believe not me, believe the works. Believe the works. And Satan is always working against us, trying to, agitate us. That's what Yahweh Shai said. I've prayed for thee that thy faith fail not. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brother. Right? And Satan desires to sift us through inward agitation. Right? So he's always trying to cause us, to reasons to look back. To look back at what? To look back at, there's nothing to look back to. The world's on fire. And we're walking towards the only place of safety. But we are not of them who draw back onto perdition, but onto them that believe to the saving of the soul, right? So yeah, only a little while longer, before we're completely taken out of this place. And no matter what we're going through, we have to remember that Yahweh Shema Shai is on our side, that he's with us, and he's, he's going to get us through these things, but we have to put in the work. We can't just have a good talk. We have to have the actions to back up of what we, say we believe is going to happen here in these last days. So with that, a little short one time, Lord's willing, you're edified. Thanks, I'm going to say Shalom.